So grief is like a vast bottomless pit. The language in this book isn't particularly original. Give you an idea of the kind of vocabulary this book uses. Medusa has just called Hermes a prick. Oh, a little prick. It made me uneasy to realise how effortlessly Hermes could puppeteer me, like some toy. But the writing's not bad, it's just not good. Hermes may seem harmless to you, but he is the sort of god who would hand you a candle in the darkness, while simultaneously tripping you over, and then would stand back and laugh as the world burnt around him. It's giving middle grade. So still talking about Hermes. He loved nothing more than cooking up dramas and watching them unfold, with his feet kicked up and hands resting cockily behind his head. The only saving grace I can think of is that we're currently at the point in the story where Medusa is still 17, I think, and it definitely reads like a 17-year-old is talking. So I guess that's all I can expect right now. We will see. No! I am tired of running from the pieces of myself I cannot escape. Oh, God, that's good. Medusa. I was not the first woman to be blamed for a man's flaws, and I certainly will not be the last. Okay, Rosie. Okay, going for the jugular. So I finished reading Medusa by Rosie Hewlett, and I have some thoughts. Okay, I have some thoughts, and you may have seen from the little snippets that I included in this video, I didn't really enjoy the tone of the book. It felt all wrong for the sort of story that we're reading, and I found rating it a really hard time. In the end, I did give it 3 stars. But the problem is, I love Medusa's story. The Greek mythology tale of Medusa, I really love that, and it's stories such as Medusa by Jessie Burton that I think did the story justice. However, this one I felt didn't, and I find from reading Greek mythology retellings, which I do very often, I love them. I don't know how to say this politely, so I'm just going to say it. You don't really have to think up much plot because the plot is mostly already there. And we're looking for a different sort of way of telling the story. So for example, when I read Medusa by Jessie Burton, I knew exactly what the story was, but I loved the way Jessie told it. when it came to this one, I didn't dislike it because I like Medusa's story. I just didn't like what Rosie did with it. Medusa came across a lot like a petulant child throughout it, and initially, as you will have seen in my videos, I thought that was because she was a child. But then as she grew into a young woman, the tone didn't change. The tone remained petulant, and I know she's got a lot to be pissed about, but it's just the way you show her anger. It was less of a powerful revenge story and more of a tantrum, and I just didn't like the tone. That's the problem. Let me give you some examples. So, as far as I'm aware, this isn't a modern retelling, but the way that Medusa narrates is very 21st century. And yet men still think they are the stronger sex, ... I mean, honestly. I just don't like it. And I don't know how to explain it any better other than it's just icky. It's just icky. It's YA 21st century pissed off young adult. It's not a revenge story of a powerful woman / monster. Another example is, let's not forget that Athena was hardly my biggest fan either, so it was a win-win for her. Athena ruined your life, or at least ruined your perception of what your life was going to be. Hardly my biggest fan? No. And this happens quite a lot in retellings. Because we're assuming that the reader knows the story, the narrator often says, "And do you recall what I said to him? And you remember what I said to him? Do you remember the way this happened?" And this is a personal thing, but I just don't enjoy that, because you tell me the story. Don't remind me what the story is. Don't make me remember the story. You just tell me. That's in the power of the storyteller, and you're giving me that power as the reader. I don't want that power. I don't want it. Take it away. You tell me. Hi, editing me here. I will just say that I am guilty of doing that. When I first drafted up my Greek mythology poems, I definitely used that tool. That's probably why it annoys me so much, because I'm just like, find a better way to tell the story. And then right at the very end, we are talking about, there's no spoilers, I guess, because you probably know the story, but no specific spoilers for this retelling. So she's talking about the fact that she is now in the afterlife and she has been beheaded. Her mouth hung slack like some kind of gruesome sex doll. I'm not bitter about it, but then later on she says, "Okay, perhaps I'm still a little bitter about it if I'm completely honest. Your innocence was stripped from you. Your mother abandoned you. At every turn in your life, you have been neglected or abused, and then you are killed by possibly the only man that you ever loved. And you're just, okay, maybe I'm a little bit bitter about it. It's petulant child, and I didn't enjoy it. But it was so hard to rate because I love Medusa's story. How do I rate a Medusa retelling badly? I struggled. But I am kind of rethinking whether this should have been a 2-star. Anyway, let us talk about the couple of other things that I've been reading this week. I've been listening to the audiobook for The Witches of Vardø. I do have the actual copy because I know I'm going to love it. So if I know I'm going to love an audiobook, I also buy the physical copy. And then sometimes I combo read, so I listen whilst I read, and it's great. And that's why I know how to pronounce Vardø, because I've been listening to the audiobook. And I know how to pronounce all of the names. Geriston. It's great so far in that it is highlighting the way in which women can turn on each other and tear each other down, whilst also showing the power of women in solidarity, the ultimate strength. And that juxtaposition of those two very relevant still in today's world aspects of womanhood is just, it's very interesting. I am loving it. It's quite, although it looks quite short, it's quite a long audiobook, but I'm loving it so far. I'm maybe 60% of the way through, so still have a little way to go. We're now building up to the big crescendo of drama, and I look forward to seeing how it all pans out. I think she's probably on track to being a 4, maybe even a 5-star. We'll see how the ending goes. Let me read you a quote that I heard. Hi. So one of the witch hunters is actually a woman, and she was pressured into taking the job, so we're kind of led to believe that she's going to double bluff and help the witches escape. However, one of the suspected witches calls her out by saying, "Worse than the men are women who hunt each other." It's just, there is something about reading witchy stories that just fills you with a sense of power. You want to fight the injustices for them. They will have justice. They will have justice. They will show their power. They will not burn. I mean, first of all, the cover is great. And second of all, women rule. Last up, a book that I read this week was A House with Good Bones by TingKingfisher. I can literally never say that name. TingKingfisher. It's not that hard. I don't know why I struggle. TingKingfisher. I read this in, I think, maybe 2 or 3 days. And that's fast for me. Okay, it's like super fast for me. Oh, I'm obsessed. I needed to read it fast anyway because it's a library book and it's due very soon. But mostly I just read it fast because it was amazing. And the pace of it was expertly done. I had to pause at one point because you know that feeling when you're 70-80% through the book and things are building up and things are Someone is beeping their horn. Sir, this is a village. Get your act together. Honestly. Yeah, you know when the crescendo is building, you know that something massive is about to happen. We've been building up for it all the book. I was stressing. My heart hurt. My chest was tight. I needed to have a little break because I was like, I'm so invested in this. I'm so invested that everything works out for them. And I want to know what's happening. And I don't understand what's happening. And I'm scared. I am frightened. I mean, I had no doubt that TingKingfisher, got the name right. I have no doubt that I'm going to love her books. I've now read 3 of hers. No, is that a lie? I've just boldly said 3, but I'm not entirely sure. I think this is the 3rd book I've read, and it's made me just want to immediately order and read everything that she's ever written. Particularly interested in Nettle and Bone. Has anybody read Nettle and Bone? Do you recommend? Because I think that's what I will pick up next of hers. But either way, read this, rated it 5 stars, absolutely loved it. Bought a copy because I have to return this to the library, and that hurts my feelings because I want to own the book. So, you know, I'm supporting my library, but also supporting my shelves. My shelves need support. Look, this one is ridiculous, honestly. It's a good job my uncle screwed these into the walls well, because they would be collapsing if I'd built them. But they're cute, aren't they cute? This is why we've chosen this new angle for videos. And you can see on my screens. And this is my... I need to do a tour. I'll just do a tour. Shut up. Stop looking. I'll do a tour at a later date. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a true delight. I hope it's been a true delight for you. If it has been a delight, you might consider liking and subscribing. I would be really grateful for that. And we can talk more about spooky, spooky business and witchy business and books that we find disappointing. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.